Chapter 584, Eastern Evil Land. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen frowned slightly and asked, "Do you mean that it isn't useful to master the change of 36 forms?" Sword Saint Xuanji said with a smile. The change of 36 forms is just a magic trick, instead of being a way of practicing. Of course, if one can make good use of it, it will naturally generate endless magical effects. If you have practiced 10% to 20% of it, you will be able to change into another person, at the least. And with the martial skill, you will be safer when you go to Eastern Evil Land, right? Furthermore, you have mastered the 4th volume of the 49 Mysteries. If you combine the two, the change of 36 forms may become more magical. Zhang Yuochen finally understood the reason why Sword Saint Xuanji had imparted the change of 36 forms to him. Indeed, it was true. If he could change the shape of his body and his appearance, he would be able to kill Yi effortlessly. Previously, Sword Saint Xuanji displayed the change of 36 forms and turned into 9 Serenity Sword Saint. In this way, he tricked Wan Zeoi, and that meant that sorcery was not comparable to the change of 36 forms. Not only could it change a monk's appearance and body shape, but also his aura. Even a saint was unable to distinguish what was true and what was false. After Zhang Yuochen thought it over, he took out a spatial ring and gave it to Sword Saint Xuanji. He said, "Master, the copy of the 4th volume of the 49 Mysteries is inside the ring. If you are able to perceive it, your change of 36 forms will become more profound." Sword Saint Xuanji did not refuse it, but he put the ring away and said again, "The change of 36 forms is supported by Holy Qi. Thus, you are not able to change by transforming genuine Qi into Holy Qi through the Holy Meridian until you practice to the 4th change in the Fish Dragon realm and develop the 1st Holy Meridian. Of course, you should not expend so much energy on it that you neglect the Tao of the Sword." Zhang Yuochen held his fist in his palm and bowed. "Master, I will bear your teachings in mind." Sword Saint Xuanji stared at Zhang Yuochen. After a long while, he said, "The world is dangerous and man's heart is incomprehensible. In the future, you have to depend on yourself. Perhaps you are able to achieve success and win recognition with another identity. Perhaps you will die among strangers with another identity. On the holy road, disasters and happiness are unpredictable. If you meet with difficulties, please tell me. Please go. You should leave now. I hope I can be proud of you in the future." Sword Saint Xuanji stepped on the ice surface, moved about 33 meters with each step, and gradually disappeared down the lower course of the ancient river. From the beginning to the end, he had not mentioned the time and space descendant. The lower course of the ancient river led to Eastern Holy Land. The upper course led to Eastern Evil Land. The master and apprentice took different paths. Zhang Yuochen seemed to understand Sword Saint Xuanji's mood. As long as Empress Kaiyao remained alive, Zhang Yuochen would not be able to restore his original name. His 6th disciple, Zhang Yuochen, had died today. "Master, please take care of yourself." Zhang Yuochen spoke in a low voice as he stared at the lower course and watched his master leave. Then, he took out a metal mask from his spatial ring and wore it on his face. He went against the current and resolutely started his journey to Eastern Evil Land. It was only upon reaching the 4th change in the Fish Dragon realm that one could practice the change of 36 forms. But now, he had to use a mask to conceal his appearance in order to not be discovered. The primitive forest was called God Falling Ridge. In the north, there were 36 mansions ruled by the imperial court, called Eastern Holy Land. On the right, it was Eastern Evil Land. Because of the natural barrier of God Falling Ridge, the troops of the imperial court had not yet conquered Eastern Evil Land. Even if it was conquered, it would be difficult to manage Eastern Evil Land. After all, this land had been ruled by evil men for many years. There were numerous killers and evil masters there. And among the ordinary people who did not practice martial arts, there were few good people. It was difficult for a good person to live in Eastern Evil Land. When he walked in the primeval forests, Zhang Yuochen could encounter strong savage beasts at any time. He had killed 6 5th-level inferior savage beasts and countless 4th-level and 3rd-level savage beasts. Among them, The most amazing one was a 5th level superior savage beast. Its fighting strength was comparable to a monk at the 9th change in the fish dragon realm. Zhang Yuochen could get away by using the shooting star invisible cloak. Half a month later, he came to the edge of God Falling Ridge and was leaving the primeval forests. During this period, he hurried on with his own journey in the daytime and went to the scroll world to practice in the evening. He refined 850 grams of bloody saint cultivating soil into his body and successfully practiced to the treasured body of the earth spirit. He had become the treasured body of 3 spirits now. The treasured body of 3 spirits was equal to a saintly being within the same realm. It was extremely hard to practice to such a body. Perhaps because he had experienced 4 chords of the gods, he succeeded without any extra effort. His cultivation had improved a lot. He reached the peak of the 2nd change in the fish dragon realm. If he refined one more drop of Xuanwu sacred blood, Zhang Yuochen would be confident in breaking through to the 3rd change in the fish dragon realm and reaching the realm of bone refining to jade in the near future. At dusk, he finally went through God Falling Ridge and arrived at the first city of Eastern Evil Land, called Liuan City. Liuan City was located at the edge of God Falling Ridge. The city walls were high but shabby. They had collapsed and exposed gasps that were dozens of meters wide. It was obvious that they had not been renovated in many years. Zhang Yuochen entered the city through a gap of the broken wall. He had come to Liuan City for 2 purposes. First, he wanted to purchase holy stones. Second, he wanted to look for someone. He was purchasing holy stones to test the refining warrior's power. After all, he had not tested his power since eldest brother gave him the refining warrior. Of course, he needed some helpers. If he wanted to kill Di on his turf, he had to look for some helpers. Moreover, he needed to plan well in advance and wait for the right time to reach his goal of killing with a single strike. He had considered going to Saint Huo Villa to look for the former subordinates of the Sacred Central Empire. With their help, he would be able to deal with Di Yi. However, he dismissed that strategy soon afterward. Since 800 years had passed, even though they had been loyal subordinates, they would probably not be loyal to him now. And if they betrayed him, he would slide into desperate straits. Because he had come to Eastern Evil Land alone, he had to be more careful. He could not make any mistakes. And he certainly also considered another person, Duanmuk Singerling. Other people might be not worthy of his trust, but Duanmuk Singerling was trustworthy. Furthermore, in Eastern Evil Land, there were forces from the black market and the demonic sect. If he was able to resort to the demonic sect, Zhang Yuochen would be a little bit more confident in killing Di Yi. To kill Di Yi was really a big thing. He did not want to trouble Duanmuk Singerling or incriminate her. In the end, he shook his head and determined to act alone. While he was thinking, he suddenly stopped and looked up at a shop on the right side of the street. He saw 3 characters with vigorous and bold handwriting on its horizontal inscribed board over the gate. Qingxuan Pavilion, Zhang Yuochen said. In the Yunwu Commandery, Qin Ya, who was Duanmuk Singerling's aunt, opened a Qingxuan Pavilion in the Martial Market. He bought his first pills in the Qingxuan Pavilion, so he still remembered it very well. He never expected to see a Qingxuan Pavilion again in the first city that he came to in Eastern Evil Land. However, this Qingxuan Pavilion was larger than the one in the Yunwu Commandery. It not only sold pills, but also genuine martial arms and savage beast mounts. Liuan City was chaotic, but it was orderly outside the Qingxuan Pavilion. There were warriors going in and out, some of which were herbalists who collected medicinal herbs in God Falling Ridge and sold them here, and some were warriors carrying weapons. Obviously, they came here to buy pills and genuine martial arms. Just as he walked in, he heard an old voice, which was both familiar and strange. "Child, do you want to buy pills or genuine martial arms?" He turned around and saw a familiar elder. There was a mole at the corner of his mouth and a huge smile on his face. Seeing this elder, Zhang Yuochen felt as if he had gone back to the Yunwu Commandery. This elder looked the same as the shopkeeper of the Qingxuan Pavilion in the Yunwu Commandery. He was both surprised and delighted. He controlled his emotions and said coldly, "May I ask your name?" The elder smiled and said, I'm Mo Hanlin, the shopkeeper of this store. Even the name was the same. I was unlikely to be wrong. Did the King Xuan Pavilion in the Yunwu Commandery move to Liuan City? Or, are there many King Xuan Pavilions in the eastern region? Back in the day, his cultivation was not profound, so he was not able to see through Mo Hanlin's cultivation. Now, he was able to see that Mo Hanlin had reached the advanced stage of the Heaven Realm. If he was in the Yunwu Commandery, he would definitely be a martial arts legend with such a realm. Zhang Yuochen said calmly, I want to buy some holy stones. Can you help me get some holy stones? Mo Hanlin widened his eyes and his old body shook slightly. Then, he started to look Zhang Yuochen up and down. If not for his impressive appearance, Mo Hanlin might have kicked him out. Buy holy stones? How could someone dare to boast so shamelessly? A holy stone could be exchanged for 10 million common spiritual crystals, which was equal to 10 billion silver coins. And that was just for exchange. If someone wanted to buy a holy stone, its value would be increased by 10%, which meant 11 million common spiritual crystals. Under normal circumstances, only those who had reached the half-saint realm would use holy stones. Some half-saints without a background might not be able to afford a holy stone. And although he wore a mask, Zhang Yuochen looked only 20 years old. How could he be a half-saint? Mo Hanlin looked solemn as he said, the King Xuan Pavilion has tens of thousands of stores in the entire eastern region, so we have a profound background. As long as you can afford it, we can help you get holy stones. However, it's an important matter. I can't make the decision by myself, so I have to ask our hostess for instructions first.